What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Pitching Ninja's Filthiest Pitches of the Day, the World Series edition. Remember, before we get to those pitches, hit that subscribe button. Join Ninja Nation, the best baseball community on YouTube. And now, without further ado, here are my filthiest pitches of the day. I'm going to start with Zack Wheeler, who had 3 strikeouts in 5 innings, and he did give up 5 runs, with 4 of them being earned. Definitely not the Zack Wheeler we saw in other postseason games. He did have some wicked curveballs, and I thought these heat maps from Codified Baseball showed the problem that Wheeler was having. He started the game with Altuve and Pena jumping on him, and you can see it wasn't really that much about pitch selection, but mostly about pitch location. There's a lot of blue for Wheeler on these charts, but the location of those pitches, pure red. Even the right pitch thrown middle, well, they tend to get teed off on. The filthiest pitcher of the day was Framber Valdez. Valdez was outstanding with 9 strikeouts in 6 1/3 innings, giving up only 1 run. He relied mostly on his hammer curveball that had up to 3,164 RPMs. And you can see in this home plate view against Harper how filthy that pitch is. It really drops off the table. He also relied on his sinkers, including this absolute dart. Talk about hitting your target. Here are some sinker and curveball overlays that show you why they can be such a lethal combo. You can see in this one to Real Muto, those pitches start out in the same plane and that curveball dives to the dirt. And here's an example of why you might chase an elevated sinker. That curveball starts out in a very high plane and drops, protecting an elevated sinker. A hitter starts out thinking that's a curveball, but it's actually a fastball and swings at a pitch out of the zone. Elevated sinkers sound a little bit like an oxymoron, but they can actually work. Probably the biggest side story in this game was people on Twitter accusing Framber Valdez of cheating. He changed his cleats and glove during the game. You could see him going from a brown glove and orange cleats to a black glove and black cleats. I don't know why anybody would say changing your cleats would be suspicious. It's not like you would hide sticky stuff in your cleats. But that's how social media works. And Framber was also caught rubbing up the ball. It looks like he goes to some places on his palm, and people were assuming that he hid some sticky stuff there. Looking at Valdez's spin rates, they weren't up materially, and any increase in his spin rate made 100% sense because his velo was also up a tiny tick. And spin rate and velocity are highly correlated. And as you've seen, most pitchers' velocity has been up this postseason due to adrenaline, which isn't a foreign substance. Also, Valdez is checked almost every inning by the umpires. And if you were using sticky stuff, it'd be really hard to wipe it off before the umpire checked, because how sticky would it be if you could just wipe it right off? Anyway, I know I've discussed this, but pitchers have realized that mixing sweat and rock rosin causes it to be a slight bit tacky, enabling pitchers to get a better grip. That's why you'll see a lot of pitchers go to their hair to get some sweat, and it's likely that Framber had a little bit of sweat in his glove hand, which helped activate the rosin. Anyway, they asked Phillies manager Rob Thomson as well as Framber Valdez about these allegations. Here's what they had to say.
Do your dugout notice Valdez rubbing at his hand at all?
Yeah, we did, and I know I just got it from KG. It's all over Twitter. You know, the umpires check these guys after almost every inning, and if there's something going on, MLB will take care of it.
Pienso que no deben de pensar malo, porque yo lo hago al público, yo lo hago a simple vista. O sea, a veces uno usa
I think like nobody should think of it as anything like in the wrong way. I do it out in the open, but again, those are just all things tendencies that I do throughout the game. Maybe distract the hitter a little bit from what I'm doing, like maybe look at me rubbing different things and not thinking about the pitch that I'm going to throw. And I think I've been doing it all season. Just tendencies like that a Dominican thinks that we do just to be able to stay loose, and just tendencies. The important thing obviously is to win, and we're winning, obviously winning legally, but yeah, just random tendencies. Yeah, I normally have different spikes when I warm up and the ones that are going to the game. Today I decided to start the game with the ones that were warmed up. I had a long inning there, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to change everything. I'm going to change my glove, my belt, my cleats, and those are just things that us Dominicans do, just some tendencies here and there. I even changed my mechanics, I think, at one point, but just things to stay loose.
Now on to my filthiest relievers. Rafael Montero had this 97-mile-an-hour gas. I also love this sequence where he gave up a foul nuke to Schwarber. Just barely foul. And usually, I would say the pitcher has an advantage here because the hitter's way out in front, and almost always the next pitch gets a bad swing and miss. Not in this case. The next pitch was almost a fair nuke. But my favorite part about this is Dusty Baker's face. The man looks like he just got away with something. Another reason to love baseball. Andrew Bellotti had this filthy slider. Connor Brogdon had this wicked changeup. And Ryan Presley had this nasty changeup. And now, my pitching ninja moment of zen. Before the game on Twitter, I did this comparison of Zack Wheeler and Jacob deGrom's mechanics. And you can see just how much of an influence that deGrom has had on Wheeler's mechanics. And you can notice Ian Happ is at the plate here, which he and Scott Effross really appreciated.